doubt would be fond of and things like that. But the wages, the fact that, the wages he's going to command, it just probably makes it a myth. He would give us another dimension. I'm all on taking Raheem Sterling at the Emirates, but it looks like a myth. With that being said, though, let's look at the current transfer news, people. Keep your opinions coming. Elite conversation from you lot across Twitch and YouTube, as it always is, people. And make sure you're here at 3:30 as well. The Notebook. Jack Wilshere is on a mission to lure pal Declan Rice to the Gunners. Gunners pounced to Arsenal. Gunners pounced to offer Bukayo Saka a new deal before the World Cup, and David Bentley is spotted at the Emirates. Look at you, shameless brother David Bentley. You're still sour. You didn't make it. Get out the Emirates, man. What are you coming around here for? Declined his red membership. Forget all of that, man. We all know we did well against Everton. I'm going to air all of this, people. Apparently, Wilshere could help lure Declan Rice to the Emirates. It's no secret Arsenal want to sign Declan Rice this summer. Enter secret agent Jack Wilshere, just like Pepe with getting Gabriel, who ironically, Gabriel could have been playing for Everton if not for COVID, because the medical and everything got put to bed. Rice and Wilshere formed a close relationship during their time playing together at West Ham, and Wilshere played a number of pranks on him and have remained tight. Indeed, it has been pointed out to Sportsmail that the Wilshere factor could well be an influence as Rice decides his next destination. Obviously, naturally, Declan Rice is going to ask Jack Wilshere what's it like at the Emirates, and Wilshere's only going to have good things to say. On top of us being in London, on top of us being an attractive proposition, he'll probably WhatsApp Bukayo Saka and Eddie and people he's rubbed shoulders with and ask what the gaffer's like, what the club's like, etc. Obviously, Edu and Arteta, if it gets there, we'll have to have a conversation with him and convince him. So I don't think it's as quite the Jack Wilshere secret agent, but naturally he's going to ask him really and truly. So we'll have to see. Chelsea are interested, but without Champions League football, which looks likely, Rice will think twice about a return to Stamford Bridge. I don't necessarily believe that. I feel with the emerging competition of the top 4, now a top 6 and soon a top 10, regardless of if you sign for Arsenal, Man United, definitely Spurs, Chelsea, City, but probably not City, but you probably have to be, you have to be briefed that there might be a year that you're not in the Champions League, really. So I don't think that's necessarily a factor, but us being in the champs, them not, it could be something. Chelsea could sit there and say, boy, we've won the champs twice and the Europa League. What's Arsenal risen up? You know where to come, Declan Rice. You was at Cobham and that. And Arsenal should sit there and say, remember when they released you? Boy, anywho, which looks likely, Rice will think twice about a return to Stamford Bridge. Man United could also be an option for the England international, but Arsenal are believed to be in pole position. And as I always say, if you're West Ham, you're in no hurry to sell Declan Rice. You might let him talk to Arsenal, agree fees and all these things. But think about it logically. If you're West Ham and Arsenal have bidded 70, 80 million, you might accept it. You say, Declan Rice, go chat to them. But you're probably going to delay, not answer the phone because you want to see if true, Arsenal, Chelsea, City, all of these guys and provoke a bidding war on a player that's an England international, your captain, been a fantastic signing, contracted until 2024 with an option of another year, but shows no willingness. So you're going to want to sign, you want to get man for top money. Wilshere, who is Arsenal's under-18 coach, remains a cult hero on the terraces here at the Emirates. If he can help bring Rice across London, he'll be held in even loftier esteem. No one cares about Everton stuff. David Bentley, don't know why he's at the Emirates, go home. Arsenal pounced for new Saka deal before the World Cup. Bukayo Saka has agreed a new contract with Arsenal. The deal will be worth a minimum of 10 million a season, but in reality, all in, it's worth closer to 15 million. Deserves it. A deal in principle was reached last week, but truth be told, the defining moment arrived just days before Saka left for the World Cup. Fair enough. The Gunners, just prior to England's departure for Qatar, made a last-ditch effort to improve the terms on the offer before the start of the tournament, knowing full well the consequences if Saka went on to become one of the stars of the World Cup, which he did. The revised offer was significantly more in line with what Saka is worth, and a broad verbal agreement was struck with finer details ironed out last week. Fair enough. Apparently, the Toffees and the Gunners are baffled by work permit rules. Reps of Everton and Arsenal were among those left bemused during a recent Premier League meeting over plans to persuade the FA to dilute their work permit rules. One part of the meeting in particular left them scratching their heads when asked why Chelsea striker Fofana was awarded a visa on appeal after falling short of the threshold required to gain a visa. Clubs were told it was because Chelsea gave a good presentation. Good presentation at the end of the PowerPoint. On the table was there a brown envelope left. I don't know, man. I don't know if we'll ever see this. He's playing for Chelsea right now, but I don't know if we'll ever see him again after this season. Have fun at Vitesse, lad. So yeah, we've got 100 wins against Everton, people. Arsenal became the first team in English top flight history to record 100 league wins against a single opponent with a win over Everton. Fantastic for us, people. So yeah, that's that. Arsenal dealt transfer blow as Brazilian wonder kid Victor Roque, once called the new Luis Suarez, reveals this his dream to join Barcelona, despite Edu's attempts to bring him to London. It comes as Arsenal sporting director Edu had attempted to sign the forward. The 18-year-old forward has said that it is his dream to join Barcelona. Let's see exactly what's being said. Apparently, Edu had tried to use his connections in South America to make an approach to sign the promising 18-year-old who helped the Brazil under-20 side win the South American Championships in January. He was joint top goal scorer of the tournament. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic young player. I've done a video on him before. Again, when you see Luis Suarez and Neymar links, it is what it is. Apparently, when asked, he said, yes, it's a dream not only for me, but also for any player who comes along. If I end up going to Barcelona, it'll be a great joy for my family and me. That's why I have to keep working hard and hope that everything comes together in time. So, yeah, man, it's not too late. You've seen what we're doing with Martinelli and Jesus. Anyone can play for Barcelona. But you want to play with Rafinha or you want to play with Saka? Who's the better right winger? I know the answer to that. I mean, Barcelona's Barcelona, man. For Saka cover, I think there's only one answer. Nico Williams, big potential, a mix of Martinelli's rapidness and directness and Saka's decision-making. Rice wants Champions League, no way he goes Chelsea. Don't end up like Hudson-Odoi. Bentley was doing game analysis. Fair enough, man. I just want McAllister and Declan Rice next summer. Solves our midfield for now and the future. I'd be keen for McAllister, Also, the promising thing about Turner, Tierney, Sambi needing to leave for games means our sales will bring great income for the first time in a long time. Use that to make big signings. But then we're going to need more squad fillers, really, especially where Tierney's concerned. Turner has to stay. Sambi, I don't know. I hope you return from Crystal Palace looking a baller, but if you're, it's looking like the beginning of the end, you might go on year for another year. Keep up the great content, bro. How do you feel about Cherky this summer? He's finally starting to show consistency this season. Technically insane and great interplay. Has a nice feel for the game. Needs to kind of sort out his attitude. At times he seems like a spoiled kid, but if you could bring him, wouldn't expect immediate impact, but he's got all the potential in the world. Where Victor Roque is concerned, people, there's a £53 million buyout clause, people. And that's set to expire in 2027. He's 18 years of age, people. When asked, he said, yes, I work for this. The competition I played last year, in brackets, the Copa Libertadores and the Brasileiro, will help me to be well prepared when I go to Europe. I'm very happy to be 18 years of age, which now allows me to play abroad. My goal is to continue working with humility because with faith in God, everything will turn out well. I try to stay focused on the day-to-day and give my best at Atletico. I'm sure that if I do well here, going to Europe will be a consequence. Fair enough. Can't disagree with what he said there. What's been said here? Arsenal continue to monitor winger. Fernando Torres, did he not just sign a new deal? Sambi ain't looking good for Palace so far. Ten Hag's a very good manager, unfortunately for me as an Arsenal fan, he's going to be a problem over them sides there. Don't know what this means, but, Saka with 10 goals, 9 assists this season in the league. Martinelli with 3 assists and 11 goals. Apparently, Romano has said, Arsenal have never spoken to Orlando about Fernando Torres, never made contact or a bid. They just followed the players they do with many players around the world, but it was never a concrete negotiation in January or before. And now he signed a new contract with the MLS side with a release clause. I'm sure many clubs will keep an eye on his development, including Arsenal as a great talent. I mean, some articles said them times there that Edu spoke with his agent, so no clue what that means. McAllister said, at the moment, I'm enjoying of my present at Brighton and I'm not thinking about the future. I would like my next team to be in the Premier League. You'd imagine Chelsea, United, Arsenal, everybody be involved in him. He said it there. I would like my next team to be in the Premier League. Is what it is. Allegedly, Raheem Sterling's rep said, Sterling has expressed no discontent with Chelsea. He's committed to his long-term future to the new ownership this summer. There is no renewal of his position in the upcoming transfer window. So, yeah, Sterling wants to stay at Chelsea, people. There you have it. There you have it, really, with Fabrizio Romano. So we'll close that. What's been said here on Fabrizio Romano? Obviously, Gabby Veiga is doing quite well in La Liga, the 20-year-old. There's a £40 million release clause for the Spanish young star Gabby Veiga. Celta want to keep him. No plan to let him leave for less than the clause. He has 8 goals and 3 assists in La Liga. Top clubs are tracking him currently, people. He's quite a good player. Sane has been linked with a move away, people. What's next for Leroy Sane and Serge Gnabry? The FC Bayern president has said both are very important for us. We need them if we want to achieve our big goals. They're excellent footballers and we're happy to have them. However, if you look at this article, people, the possibility of Leroy Sane returning to the Etihad this summer could become more realistic in the coming months, according to reports from Germany. Could Arsenal get involved with that? We've been linked with Sterling, another player that, you know, is worked and cross paths with Mikel Arteta. Hasn't really worked out for Leroy Sane currently, people. He has had some poor performances. If Arteta could get a tune out of him, Sane, but with everything, I probably think it's not worth it, if I'm honest. But according to German newspaper Blind, they've stated that as a result of Sane's poor performances, the idea of selling the forward is now described as a possibility. It is stated that officials at Bayern Munich expect players' performances to match their salary, something that Sane, along with Gnabry, failed to do in recent matches. As such, if both players continue to underperform, then the Bundesliga giants will not rule out an exit for either player, providing they receive a big enough offer, people. So we'll have to see really and truly how that one there develops. Apparently, Manchester United have joined Arsenal and Chelsea in showing an interest in Southampton's Romeo Lavia. Apparently, Man City will receive 20% of his next sale and have the opportunity to match any future bids, and also have a buyback clause around 40 million quid. So depending on how Southampton stay in the league, you know, if Southampton stay, if I'm Lavia, I couldn't begrudge you for having your head turned by bigger clubs. But if Southampton stay in the league, I think it's best you stay there for another year, really. But couldn't begrudge you if you want to join a bigger team. Once again, McAllister said, I would like my next team to be in the Premier League. Very direct. I thought he'd end up in Spain personally, or them sides. But yeah, once again, Raheem Sterling not on it. Apparently, Marcelo Flores has renewed his contract with Arsenal. We've taken a 2-year extension out, but he seeks to stay in Spain. You know, there's no such thing as a bad loan. In principle, there's always a learning curve, but he is struggling over there in Spain. But it's nice to see Arsenal are, you know, protecting somewhat resale value. Marcelo Flores' inactive season in Spain has not dismissed Arsenal's hopes of turning him into an important player. Thus, the London club renewed the contract of the Mexican for a couple of years, who at the age of 19 already had his first negative experience in European football, let's say, having had no activity at Oviedo in the Spanish second division. However, to a large extent, the latter is also due to the defensive profile of the new coach, Alvaro Cavera, who came to take over Bolo. So he's had 2 managers. This is the reality of football that you're not going to get under 21s level. The Canadian-born Mexican has 9 games without having a single minute with Oviedo, despite which he'll seek to stay in Spain to obtain a community passport, which would allow him to seek accommodation in any team in the major leagues in Europe. Fair enough. Apparently, Central Fox has said, what we can tell you is that he has renewed for 2 more years with Arsenal. They've extended his contract, and the priority for Marcelo Flores will be to stay in Spain for another year. Hopefully, we find a club that plays him. It does not mean he's going to stay at Real Oviedo. Oviedo's ends the loan in the summer, and we'll sit down to see if there's a project for him there. But the priority is to stay in Spain. There are already a couple of teams interested in him. It would have been nice if we could have got him to, you know, go somewhere else. As you know, he was originally at Ipswich. We then signed him. Why Spain? Because with 1 more year playing in Spain, he automatically receives a European passport, which opens the door to all of Europe. So the priority is to stay on loan in Spain. It does not mean that it's Oviedo, although Oviedo will have a hand in some negotiations. So best of luck to the young man developing, people. So yeah, it's expected once again that he'll spend another season in Spain where he'll receive a Spanish passport. I don't quite think he'll make the grade at Arsenal, if I'm honest with you, but I hope to be proven wrong. I think he's a good player, a bit of a Duracell battery. I'd like to make my Premier League debut before I turn 19. That's my goal, he said last year. Myth. I idolize players like Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar, who have all done the same thing. Looking up to players like them, you want to match what they did, because like any player, my ultimate dream is to win things like the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or. And apparently we're confident of signing Saliba to a new long-term contract. The Frenchman is happy at the club and has become a key player for Mikel Arteta's side this season, forming a solid partnership with Gabriel. As you know, Saliba's current deal expires in 2024 after the Gunners triggered an option in his contract to extend, but talks are ongoing over a bumper 5-year deal. The longer that goes, you know, I think we will get a positive conclusion. But if we reach the summer, it's crazy. Once again, we know Jack Wilshere allegedly is the secret agent, and every day we're the favourites to sign Declan Rice, but we've been here before. Until man sign on the dotted line, it's a myth. I'm a fan. I'm your fan from Lagos, Nigeria. You're really brilliant in what you do. Shout out the Nigerians and thank you for your support. Sign Rice, Onana, McAllister, Leao, Vlahovic to the Champions League is ours. Gonna cost a pretty penny though, man. Players out on loan to either move on or fight for a place when they're back. Also can see the difference in the levels when signing players from the Prem. United did it every season between 2000 and 2015. I mean, the Phil Jones and the Smalling thing didn't really work, but I hear that. I really do like Zinchenko's spirit. What's going on with Reece Nelson? I mean, he's had injuries. There's players better than him, and right now he's probably just not making the squad. And unfortunately, it's probably the beginning of the end. Tavares, Balogun, Patino, what do we do with them, including Sambi? What happens to them next season, especially if we get Rice in? You'd imagine patting our heads on loan again. Balogun potentially could leave or go permanently or might stay for the first 6 months until January. Tavares, either, in my opinion, leaves. You never know. You know, Arteta might get a trick out of him, but in my opinion, he probably leaves as well. If we can double our money, keep it moving. I reckon we go back for Fresnadar if Tierney was to leave. Two different sides. If I'm honest with you, if you're on Twitch, subscribe with Amazon Prime, people. One love for all of you lot doing that. 95 likes. We're close to 100, but we're not there yet. Arsenal could consider cashing on. I think they mean cashing in on 6 players this summer as part of Mikel Arteta's overhaul. Specifically, what's been said. Balogun, if you could get 50 million, then it's a decision to make. The report adds the 21-year-old is unlikely to be satisfied with a third choice role at the Emirates, with Eddie Nketiah currently serving as Gabriel Jesus' chief understudy. I mean, when you signed that initial new deal, you must have known that. Arteta will also have a decision to make. I think they mean a decision over one of the club's other talented academy graduates in Emil Smith-Rowe. Injury has limited the attacking player to just 107 minutes of action this season following a groin problem. Smith-Rowe's not being sold. Xhaka, I guess, being contracted until 2024, he's got a decision to make, people. So we'll have to see how these things develop. Tierney's been linked with Newcastle after slipping down the pecking order. We've seen that every day, people. Apparently, Saliba was labelled League One quality once upon a time, people, at Arsenal by former players. I don't know if ESPN are talking the truth, but apparently, yet sources told ESPN that during the 2020-21 preseason, there was skepticism over whether Saliba would make the grade. Multiple players, none of whom are still at the club, were said to have described Saliba somewhat dismissively as League One level. Well, it shows that you need to give people time and they can develop, and then you see what happens, people. The third tier of English football, citing poor positioning and a tendency to jump into a tackle, there's recognition that the young centre-back had time on his side to improve, but Arteta and his staff came to the conclusion that his development should take place elsewhere, only for only for a clerical error, I can't say that, to deny him a second loan spell back at St. Etienne. So shout out to him, man. We don't need to read the rest of that. He's doing what he's needing to do, really. Onana apparently, opens the door to a future Arsenal switch. Let's see if Dan Owen's headline matches the actual article. What has Onana said? I see myself having a lot of life experiences which have made me learn a lot about human beings in general, as well as about myself. I see myself, God willing, at one of the biggest clubs recognized worldwide. Respectfully, that's not Everton, especially if they go down. I mean, I do like Onana, but if you sign for Arsenal, you're about 6'7", you're always holding your face. What's going on there? Juventus wonder kid Dean Hirschen thinks Arsenal move would make no sense. 17 years of age, set for a long-term stay at Juventus, is quite decent, to be fair. If you wanted by Barca, by Munich, Madrid, and obviously the club Arsenal. Would you like to congratulate me on my contract extension? It has not been signed yet, but we've already agreed on a date, so you can actually congratulate me. Yes, the intention is that I'll either find my place in the first team next season, or that I'll be loaned out to a club in Serie A or Serie B to get minutes. I'm actually in a really good place here. I think, therefore, it makes no sense to change clubs. Juventus have a clear plan with me regarding the step up to the first team. Besides, you never know what can happen when you leave. How will it go? Apparently, Arsenal are big fans of him, but a bit of a myth, people. So, yeah, man, very good player for what it's worth. So, yeah, away from that, once again, Sterling's reps have dismissed reports he's unhappy at Chelsea. I mean, it's pretty easy for the journalists to link every Chelsea player with a move away, really and truly. We don't need an article to tell us how good Zinchenko has been for us, really and truly, and his quality. We've seen that with Sterling. We've seen that with Saliba. Arsenal allegedly are still the favourites for Declan Rice. Once again, people. Apparently, Bailey has told Team Talks the race for Declan Rice is again intensifying. He is leaving West Ham this summer. Everybody knows it, but it is again unclear where he might end up. For a long time, most of the big six wanted him, but that interest narrowed as other targets came up, to the point that Chelsea were very much in pole position to secure his signature. And Chelsea remain enticed with the idea of bringing Rice back to the club he began his career with, the club he supported as a child, but they are now facing real competition for the England star. Arsenal are keeping tabs on the situation, as we know, but their interest will be dependent on the fee West Ham asks, which could be over 100 million. Then he went on to say he feels that City need watching, as they have always appreciated Rice. Who knows, if West Ham stay up, you offer money plus Calvin Phillips on loan or something, they might just say that. Rice and Jude Bellingham at City, I guess, on that basis could be a possibility. One side that needs watching is Man City, who are again seriously considering him as part of a possible midfield overhaul. With Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and possibly Calvin Phillips all possible departures, there will be more than enough room at City to have him, and they've always appreciated him. I'm told that their interest in Jude Bellingham would not mean one or the other. They could be taking both. The same can't be said of Liverpool, as their main interest remains firmly in the pursuit of Bellingham, who is yet to make a decision on his future, but they won't be looking at both players. Manchester United have always liked Rice too, but following the arrival of Casemiro last summer, it does not appear that they have rekindled their interest at this point. Probably going to splash the bag on an 8. Arsenal face competition from Chelsea to re-sign former academy player Yunus Musah, people. Again, let's see what's going on here. Apparently, we're both set to battle it out. Valencia are fighting relegation. It's reported he will leave Valencia regardless. Both London clubs will be in the market for a new central midfielder in the summer, with Mikel Arteta on the hunt for a long-term replacement for Thomas Partey. Despite the record signing of Enzo Fernandez in January, Graham Potter, who might not be the manager by then, may also look to strengthen in that area, given the uncertainty around the futures of Kovacic. I'll have him at Arsenal. Kante, who probably will sign in deal, and Loftus-Cheek, who we all probably forgot is still at Chelsea. Several names have already been touted for a move to either the Emirates or Stamford Bridge, most notably Brighton's Moses Caicedo. However, a new name has entered the frame in the form, apparently Inter also interested, entered the frame in the form of the 20-year-old Musah, who spent 7 years in Arsenal's academy before joining Valencia in 2019. In La Liga, he's gone on to establish himself as a class midfielder and a key player for club and country, starting every game for America, USA, better yet, in the 2022 World Cup, having previously represented England at youth level. But despite his best efforts, he's been unable to prevent Valencia's downslide from the mainstays in European football to relegation battlers, and amid further turmoil off the pitch, the Spanish side may look to sell some of their top assets in the near future. And according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Inter Milan have emerged as 3 clubs most keen on signing the player, who is currently valued at 22 million. I think whatever happens with Valencia, I see him leaving in the summer. He told a podcast. In the Premier League, there's strong interest during the World Cup. Chelsea were following the player. Arsenal, of course, know the player very well. He was there, so he's a player they are monitoring. Also, Inter Milan, didn't we hear Inter broke as well? They are looking for that kind of player. So, and Musah is technically born in Italy. So Musah is a player they are following. My expectation is for him to leave. And for what I understand, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Inter are the most interested clubs, but it will take time. So we'll have to see around them times there. Let's see exactly what this is saying. Big up the Kenyans, man. 30 million plus Balogun for Liao turns some heads. Onana is too low, technically, a bit harsh. 50 for Balogun, take it and run like someone's chasing you. It's needed. Tavares, Cedric, forgot about Cedric. Holding, Lokonga, Tierney will be sad he leaves, but it is what it is. El Nene reckon he stays and Nelson will let go for a free. I hear that. Only 3 sales, Lokonga, Tavares, Pepe, Cedric, Marie. We're going to have to deal with that. If Nelson doesn't sign, he's off to Palace. I mean, anyone that will listen to Reece Nelson, he says he wants to stay at Arsenal. I think it makes sense for him to probably depart the club now and look for pastures new, just so he can get game time. Apparently, Lautaro Martinez has committed to Inter Milan amidst Arsenal links. In a conversation with Calcio Mercato, Arsenal target and Inter Milan striker Lautaro Martinez's agent stated his client is committed to staying at Inter Milan, irrespective of how the season ends. I mean, money can make things happen with not just us. He's been linked with everybody, really. Yeah. Trying to get us demonetized with all of that and change it to English. The tour without the Scudetto, the agent says it clearly. What has his agent specifically said? We're talking about a serious man. He's a leader, and above all, he's a true Inter fan. I believe that Latour matches after the match against Bologna were said by him to take on responsibility of playing in a team like Inter. Latour has a contract with Inter for several years. His future doesn't depend on qualifying for the Champions League or Scudetto. I think all it depends on is happiness. He's better there. He's there for better or worse. He has a contract with Inter and is very happy to be at Inter. He wears those colours to help deliver victories. We are always Nizari. Then we'll see in the future what will be the fate of Latour. I mean, now's not the time to talk about transfers. Arsenal to look to sell Smith Rowe in the summer. What about homegrown rules? According to a Spanish outlet reporting on the young Englishman and an English club, fair enough, Arsenal are willing to sell highly rated midfielder Smith Rowe in the next transfer window. I mean, did we not just commit him to a new deal and give him the number 10? He's been injured, but calm down. We face competition with Newcastle for Paqueta. I don't believe that. Apparently, Newcastle are interested as well as Arsenal in signing Paqueta. Negotiations between Saliba and Arsenal are progressing. Apparently, we're looking at Raheem Sterling, even though we've kind of quashed that. Arsenal have joined the race to sign Martinez in the summer. Allegedly, we've made a €40 million offer for Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. Arsenal want to rejuvenate their midfield ahead of next season and have offered €40 million to Lazio for the services of their star man, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, who is also contracted until 2024. Whether you believe that is another thing, Tierney's drawing interest from Newcastle. Once again, we've said Paqueta. We've spoken about Gabri Vega of Celta Vigo. Arsenal and Liverpool are fighting it out for Nico Williams. Hopefully, Tavares is sold as he has to return. Arsenal could be committing Saka to a new deal. I say could because he's not holding the shirt yet. Ivan Fresnador's been priced better yet, 30 million. Xavi doesn't want to let go of Ansu Fati. We're keeping tabs on Højlund. Multiple Serie A clubs are interested in Balogun, AC Milan, Napoli, Inter, and Lazio. We're the favourites for Telemans, allegedly, and Kieran Tierney is to decide his future at the end of the season. So we'll literally have to see how these things emerge and how they develop and all of those sort of things there, people. But that appears... I don't know why Siri is talking to me. Shut up, man. Almost knocked the laptop down. You're embarrassing me in front of my YouTube subscribers and Twitch friends. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Relax.